All right, welcome back. Yes, Mr. Ibrahim Masudi joins us now. He's the former chairman of the APC in Taraba State. Good morning. Present chairman, pardon me. Current chairman of APC. So wait, you're presiding over all of this that's going back and forth? I thought you have it under control by now. Why is that the case?
Well, it is under control. The party is moving. We are moving with our campaigns.
How are you moving with the Supreme Court decision?
With the Supreme Court decision, it doesn't stop anything because it is the right of an individual to go to court, and they have exhausted it. And the Supreme Court has now ordered that there should be a fresh election.
But that is not what you
fresh primary election, yes.
But this defeat, this is clearly not what your party wants, not what Senator Abacha would like. So you're not in control to that extent.
As far as litigations are concerned, we are not in control, obviously. It is the right of an individual to go to court. It is his right to purchase forms and then contest.
Doesn't it justify...
The Constitution equally gives him the right to go to court.
Yeah,
and we have no control over that.
We know that, but doesn't it then justify what they've always said from the get-go, that there was no election in Taraba?
Well, the court has said it, and we have accepted it. We cannot say otherwise.
It means that all of those who were saying from the get-go that this was always the case, they're right.
That is the position of the Supreme Court, and we are bound by it.
Okay. I'm just wondering, as APC chairman, are you neutral in all of this?
Obviously, I am. I am neutral.
You are? Yeah. So you're looking forward to conducting fresh polls?
Obviously, I am looking forward to conducting a fresh election if the National Secretariat of our party gives us a new date. And there will be a level playing ground. And obviously, I am not the person to conduct the fresh primary election. It is the National Secretariat that appoints persons to go and conduct such fresh primary elections. All I am to do is to give them an enabling environment for them to operate smoothly and then come out with a result.
So I'm just looking at the fact that, I mean, you are APC chairman in Taraba State. You had two major stalwarts within your party, in disagreement. As a matter of fact, they're looking at I'm looking for the word now, the defection of Senator Abacha from the PDP to the APC as something of a betrayal to those who have been loyal to the APC. How are you, as APC chairman, managing the sentiments that people felt or perceived with the defection of Senator Abacha and him clinching a ticket initially?
I'm happy you said the sentiment. They are not the law. The constitution of the party recognizes any individual that joins the party, even if it is today, as an equal partner. And they are at equal par with those that started the party. And therefore, let us not be sentimental. You can remain in the party for 10 years. Somebody can come today, you are equal. Only there can be some deprivations, like say, you will not be allowed to contest unless and until you are in the party for the past 6 months, 3 months. There is a constitutional provision to that effect.
Yeah, there's a reason why parties set those kinds of constitutional provisions within their own laws. There is a reason why parties do it. It's so that they can manage the sentiments of people who have been loyal to the party. And I know that in politics, loyalty is something that is extremely important. So when you say people shouldn't look at sentiment, are you really being realistic when you, as a politician, oftentimes what you do is appeal to emotions?
Well, I'm doing justice to the issue. I am supposed to be neutral, and I will remain neutral. Any person that joins the party and the Constitution allows him to contest, and the people allow him to emerge, then you have no reason to deny him that. But since we have now been given the opportunity for a fresh election, if the majority of APC stalwarts and members feel that, look, this is a new person, we should jettison him, so be it. But if they decide to vote him, you have no right to deny him.
Okay, so as far as you, but what I'm trying to say is, for those people who feel that somehow the party could be favoring, favoring or looking at certain candidates, how do you manage their own emotions? Do you reach out to them? Do you try to pacify them? What precisely do you do? As leader, are you just going to sit back and say, well, that's the law? So, we're only following the law. The law recognizes new members, they have equal rights. Is that what you do?
Obviously, that is what I do. I don't, appeal to the sentiments and emotions of individuals other than to plead with them to understand each other and then give every person a level playing ground. I have nothing to lose.
Okay. Oh, so right now, some people are also afraid that with this ruling of the Supreme Court, they're wondering if you will be able to conduct fresh primaries, going by the fact that the window within which you're supposed to conduct primaries, as stipulated by INEC, is already closed.
Well, the window, as stipulated, or rather as contemplated by the Electoral Act, is subject to the Constitution. It says 180 days before election that you should forward your names, the names of your candidates that emerge from your primary election. Yet, under Section 285, subsection 9 of the 1999 Constitution, it empowers an individual that is not happy with the outcome of an election to approach the Federal High Court for relief. If the Constitution says, well, if you are not happy, you should approach the court, then the issue of 180 days does not even arise, because it is a constitutional provision. It overrides and supersedes the provision of the Electoral Act. And once you go to court, in the court of first instance, you have 180 days. In the court of appeal, you have 60 days. In the Supreme Court, you have another 60 days. That is what the Constitution says. If the Supreme Court finally determines the action, even if the election is going to take place tomorrow, that is the law of the land. It has to be obeyed.
Have you, ever since this judgment, you or Senator Boacha reached out to the other persons in the team who are not happy with the way the elections went in the first place?
Well, the judgment was delivered 2 days ago, and we have not seen the tenor or the content of the judgment. So it is after we read the judgment, dissect and understand it, then we approach, the parties, individuals, aggrieved parties, for their understanding. Let them be united. Boacha and the other persons should sit down and talk to each other. If they are unable to agree, we have no option than to allow them to go for the fresh primaries.
So at the moment, you haven't reached out to anyone of them until you read the judgment?
I have not until I read the judgment. Then I will be able to understand the tenor and content. Then we will approach them.
But you know that, quite a number of other people think the scenario that played out in Zamfara the last time, where the APC ended up not having a candidate, could also play out here if it's not handled properly within the party.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. But the party cannot afford not to present a candidate in the forthcoming election. So it is doing everything within the modest limit of its capability to ensure that there is sanity, there is understanding, and if possible, then the fresh election will be conducted within a stipulated time, within 7 days.
But you have equally said, even if they say Senator Boacha should step down for peace to reign, he'll be willing to accept that. Or would you advise him to accept that, though?
Obviously, if the party prevails and tells him to step down, as a loyal party man, I will advise him to step down.
So what is the current situation now? Are the party members meeting? Is the president, it's the national Secretariat summoning or calling all of you to a meeting? What is the position at the moment?
Well, the position is that they are equally waiting the judgment, the certified true copy of the judgment of the Supreme Court for them to spring into action.
So if, no matter how long it takes, they will wait for that?
Obviously, it has to be between today and tomorrow. Otherwise, we will run short of the statutory period for notices, because the judgment of the lower court, which has been restored, says that a fresh election should be conducted within 14 days. And 7 days notice should be given to the candidates and the public.
I'm just wondering, I mean, you're already running short of time. You say that you're still waiting for the certified true copy before you proceed to do, is it what, to reach out to the candidates?
To reach out to the candidate, and then maybe if we know the time given by the National Secretariat of our party for the conduct of the election within the stipulated time, then that will not stop us from reaching out to the candidates until the last date.
Because I'm wondering what has, I mean, if the judgment of the Supreme Court, you know, is clear, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get the certified true copy, but knowing that that is the final court of the land, you cannot read it and say you're going to another court or that anybody is going to go to another court. This is the final judgment of the final court of the land. There's no other judgment that's going to be given again, and the judgment is clear. Conduct fresh elections. No elections took place within your party governorship primaries. Isn't it by now, what precisely are you hoping to achieve by waiting to read the certified or receive the certified true copies before you reach out to the candidates?
Well, I have to be frank to you. There are divergent opinions about the tenor or the contents of the judgment. Some are saying that the Supreme Court has passed its judgment that there will be no election in Taraba State in view of one of the reliefs being sought.
No election or no primary within the APC?
No primary election will be conducted because one of the reliefs sought by the plaintiff in the lower court is that the party and the candidate should be delisted by the first respondent, which is INEC. Now, there is no perpetual injunction on that, but the same Federal High Court went ahead to say you should conduct a fresh election, primary election, within a stipulated time, 14 days. Now, if it gives that order, and on the other hand, you are saying it should, the candidate and the party should be delisted, he equally sought for damages, refund of his, intention form, 50 million, and then 8.1 million for other sundry expenses. Then 1 billion naira damages, exemplary damages. But the lower court refused to grant that. It went ahead to give, a consequential order that there should be a primary election, which was not requested by the plaintiff then. He cross-appealed. When the party appealed to the Court of Appeal, he cross-appealed that, look, I want to be compensated. The Court of and that the Federal High Court went ahead to give an order which they did not seek for, and they were not given audience to address the Federal High Court on the issue of, a fresh primary. The respondent then equally cross-appealed, appealed against that judgment. But the Court of Appeal said, no, the Federal High Court was in order for giving you consequential order. In fact, you don't have to address the court. And that issue has not been touched by the Supreme Court. So we have to look at the content of the judgment so that we will not do the wrong thing.
Because this is why many people also say that, look, with all of these cases that went back and forth, that's why many fear that they just may not, your party, it's just a matter of time, that may not happen. And they thought that by now, everyone should have just had that meeting, be on the same page, and decide whether or not some of these cases will seek further interpretation. Because, I mean, when they keep going to call for several interpretations, you know, who knows? Would they be seeking? I don't think they'll seek for postponement of the elections because the time has already been predetermined. Is that a major concern for you at all?
It's a major concern, but it is not an undoubted issue. In 2011, I contested for election, and my name was removed when it was to be taken to INEC. I quickly went to court. Like tomorrow, the Saturday, the election was to take place on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And judgment was delivered on Friday that I am the authentic candidate of the party. And I was allowed to contest. And I went to the House of Representatives from 2011 to 2015.
So you think a similar scenario, even if it's too close to
call,
even if it is still very hopeful?
I am very, I am very sure we can be allowed to contest. But because it is the name of the party that is on the ballot.
But you know, it's not just about contesting. It's about the opposition as well. You're in the opposition. We have ruling party.
We have not stopped campaigning. Our campaign team are going around all the nooks and crannies of Taraba State.
So what are they campaigning for?
They are campaigning for the party for now.
No candidates for the governorship, just the party?
Before the judgment, there was a candidate. But as at now, we told them not to stop. They should continue.
Just to vote for APC. There's no candidate you're pushing. This our candidate is better than this.
Obviously, you are voting for the party. The first preference is for the party, and then the second, the candidate.
It's a very strange campaign. You don't think so? Because part of the highlight of any campaign is for them to see a candidate. But then you find yourself just going around anyway without a candidate.
Obviously, we equally have other candidates. It is not only the governorship candidate. We equally have other
but in the States...
You know, that's the cherry on the cake.
Yeah. Well, we are campaigning because there is a judgment.
You know, I'm just wondering, and I've asked you this. You said, oh, you just treat this thing like, oh, I'm neutral. And I tell them that is what the law says. You try your best to stay neutral, almost like as if you stay away, you stay back, waiting for the contenders to, contend it amongst themselves. I'm wondering, because if eventually you're able to conduct fresh primaries, say within the next 7 days or so, usually one of the things that parties like to do is to conclude their primaries on time, so that whatever fallouts come out of it, they're able to manage it, and they're able to go into an election with a united house. How do you think it will affect your chances having primaries so close to an election without room for you to really be able to manage whatever fallout might come out of that primary?
The fallout is by the side. Our primary objective is to win the election. And the PDP government in Taraba State, which has been in government since 1999, has already disappointed Tarabans. They are yearning for a change. Tarabans are yearning for a change. Everyone in Taraba knows.
So if this election is yours to lose as you're trying to make it out to be, the thing is, we all know that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So if that is the situation, oftentimes when I talk about fallout, I don't just mean people disagree. Oftentimes people go their separate ways as a result of what could happen in a primary. What I'm asking you is how you intend to manage that. Should it happen? Should there be major disagreements as a result of the primaries, as we've seen with this particular primaries that you've held, which matter has gotten up all the way to the Supreme Court? How do you intend to manage that?
Well, I don't think that will crop up once there is justice in the conduct of the fresh primaries.
So there was no justice before now?
Their complaint is that there was no justice, there was no fair play. And the Supreme Court has affirmed that. So if a level playing ground is provided for everybody to participate, and you participated and discover that you have failed, what reason have you to complain?
As chairman, I know you've said you're not the one going to be in charge of conducting the primaries, but what would you be recommending to your party to do so as to avoid the pitfalls that saw your members going to court in the first instance?
I'm recommending to my party to make sure that the people they will send will give a level playing ground. If efforts to reconcile the contending forces fails, then they should make sure that the election is transparent. Once it is fair and transparent, if you lose election, and you know that, yes, you have been given the opportunity, and all the do's and don'ts have been observed, what reason have you to complain? Unless you have other ulterior motives.
What mode would you say they should adopt this time around? Indirect or direct primaries?
That is within the powers of
It's a suggestion, it's a recommendation.
Well, my own suggestion would be that we should go for indirect election. Indirect primary election. That will be if I am asked to give my opinion. That is what
How will it suggest, how will it ensure fairness?
The delegates are known. You come in, they will be vetted, and then you go and join the line. We have 840 delegates, 5 for each ward. Taraba has 168 wards, times 5 is 840. So if 840 people come to vote for 6 aspirants, I mean, the election will be very clear. It will be very transparent. All of them will be in one place.
All right. Well, at least that is the scenario for now within Taraba APC. So perhaps there could be some high-level meetings also going on amongst the lots to ensure that this is sorted. Thank you for coming on. Ibrahim El-Sudi, the chairman of APC Taraba State.